This will be wonderful. Oh, okay, fantastic. I'm so excited to be here today. And I'm just going to check really quickly because we are also live streaming over in Facebook. Hello, Facebook world and our District 7 folks. We are coming to you live on a Saturday morning in January 2023. Happy New Year. I am the District 7 PR manager. My name is Stefana, and I am honored to have a special guest with us today. Ray is from a club, and a lot of us don't know too much about this arena. And I'm not going to give too many clues away. If you know Ray already, then you probably are getting goosebumps right now because you know his story. I am buzzing with awe, with excitement for you to experience this amazing gentleman and the repercussions of what the potential and the possibilities mean in terms of what has occurred, and how I think, if nothing else, it will ignite in you why you are here, or reignite or re-inspire you as to why you are a Toastmasters, why you're in Toastmasters, why you are a Toastmaster. And without further ado, I'm just going to introduce you to him without giving you details, because I've asked him to essentially do an icebreaker. And so for Toastmasters, you know, an icebreaker is about 4 to 6 minutes. And I've asked Ray in his icebreaker to share his personal story. Rather than me introducing and doing a bio, I want you to hear from him, from his words, from his heart, because it touched me so much when I heard for the first time. And I know you're going to feel this as well. I'd like to welcome Mr. Ray Fox. Ray, I'm going to turn this straight over to you. Thank you for being here. Please share with us your story.
It'd be a privilege to share my story. I like getting my story out. I was born and raised in hell, Brandon, Oregon, tortured every day, beat by my dad, all kinds of childhood atrocities. And at 13, my dad put me in the prison system because they didn't know what to do with me. He didn't want me. So he took me down to CSG, which is DHS now. And they put me in a foster home, boys ranches, all over the place. They couldn't figure out what to do with me. And I had never broke the law. I was just a very scared kid. And that fear turned into anger. And the anger, growing up in the system with all the what I call hooligans, I had never been around people like that, but I was there. Flash forward a little bit, I finally, me and my mom got in touch, and she tried to get me cleared to come down there and live with her. But because my dad had so much money, that wasn't possible. I had to stay in the custody of the state. So by the time I turned 17, I'd had enough. And I ran off from Parrot Creek Boys Ranch and had my mom assign me into the Army, where I served in the military for not very long, because the whole idea was going into the military was to get out of the custody of the state of Oregon and go live with my mom, because I thought everything would be okay then. Boy, was I mistaken. I got into the military. I loved it, but I had them kick me out because I just wanted to go to California and live with my mom. I had them kick me out after I came back to the state of Oregon and got dropped out of the custody of the state. I went in front of a judge. I knew they was going to arrest me. So I was in uniform, went in front of the judge, and he said, okay, you're in the military. We're dropping you out of the custody of the state of Oregon. So I got kicked out of the Army, went to California. I was a very angry, mean guy with no communication skills at all. Ended up leaving California with the law on my heels, came up to Oregon. I killed somebody here in Portland. I spent altogether 37 years in prison, 30 for the murder. And, you know, my whole life in that area was, and from 13 on, was pretty much locked up. So I got paroled in October 23rd, 2015. And the only reason that became possible, and I'm going to tell you the way I told it the first time I told my story, is Toastmasters. Each and every one of you people in the Toastmaster world are the cause of me getting my parole. It's your fault. I had an opportunity out at the Eastern Oregon Correctional Institution to join a club. They sent a newsletter out saying anybody interested in joining a club, let us know. Well, the only thing I knew about communication was with these. That wasn't getting me anywhere. Every time I went in front of the parole board, they flopped me 2 years. And what that means is I caught them up to my exit interview. I'd have to put a parole plan together, get my head into the outside world. And then I'd go in front of the parole board. They say, you're not ready, bring us 2 more years. And that went on for 10 or 12 years. Getting my hopes up, getting my mind out into society. And I was still just an angry, I'd already done a lot of anger management work, but there was something missing. I could not get the parole board to understand what was in my heart. So I joined Toastmasters. I learned some communication skills. Ended up getting a speeding ticket, as I call it, which is a misconduct. I did something wrong. And in 4 to 6 months, I forget exactly, of being in Toastmasters, I went back in front of the parole board and they paroled me. And that's why I blame Toastmasters for me standing here today. It's a good blame. I'm glad I'm here. My life is just transformed when I quit doing these and started using this. And life just continues to get better. And there's something that was told to me a long time ago, that if you get involved with Toastmasters while you're in the prison system, and the key is to stay involved when you get out, you're not going back to prison. Well, I've been back a couple of times to visit as a club coach at the Rose City Toasters here in Portland. And that's where I'm at. I live and breathe Toastmasters. Thank you.
I just have to take this in for a moment because, folks, this is the first time I'm hearing everything from start to finish because I knew this needed to be a live moment. I've been a Toastmaster for 12 years now, and I will tell you, I have not heard your story. I didn't know who you were, and the only thing I heard was from Jim Robison. That you transformed a club, you've skyrocketed a club, made such a success out of clubs when clubs are struggling. And I thought, I've got to interview him. Let me find out what he's all about. Let me see how he's successful in a club. And I didn't know the other side of it. So Ray, I want to thank you for sharing and really talk about being vulnerable, talk about expressing, and in a 4 to 6 minute window, something of your entire life. And I would love to see if there are folks watching us live right now and you want to comment in the chat. How did this land for you? And anything that you'd like to share, put it in the chat. I am monitoring the chat, but I also I'm going to continue talking with Ray for a bit. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Please.
And there's 2 things that are really interesting to me, and I want everyone to know this piece around Toastmasters and the prison system, because there are many nonprofits that go into the prison system that are to rehabilitate the prisoners and the criminals so I need to take back the edge because I know there's a little bit of it to it, but those nonprofits are pocketing a lot of money and they're not going to the prisoners and they're not getting what they need. And I want you to know something. I know for a fact Toastmasters doesn't get a dime. We are not in there doing this because we're trying to pocket or fill some pockets. None of us, not Jim Robeson, not myself, we are volunteers. This is what we believe in. And I know Ray Fox would stand up to that as well. So Ray, I do want to address that because this is a big thing and people don't get how amazing Toastmasters is. And when I say Toastmasters, it is the Toastmasters. It is us. It is us who has been changed. The very first Toastmaster meeting I went to, a woman stood, Miss Beautiful Polly. She stood up and she gave and shared a piece that changed my life. Up until that moment, I never would have spoken publicly about my child sexual abuse. And for whatever divine intervention, I was in that meeting. That was my first time. I sat there and listened to Polly talk about how she forgave her father and forgave. And I could not believe it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This was Toastmasters? What in the world? But it's a safe place to communicate and find your voice and to get better. Is it also with other things? Yes, professionally speaking and leading and all of it, yes. But this is what's amazing to me, is this gift that we as a community of Toastmasters do around the world for pennies. We support each other. I mean, we invest, right? So it's like, what, $5-6 a month to get all the other things. And that goes to our pathways and our programs. And this isn't like someone's pocketing and getting $1 million salary. This is really key. Okay. So now I want to turn this back to you, Ray, because Ray, how exactly is it? So you saw the newsletter. What was your first Toastmasters meeting like? And can you give us some insight there? And how did that look inside the system?
We chartered the articulate ambassadors out of EOCI. And my very first meeting there, I felt at home. I felt this was the place I needed to be. Because of where I've been in my life, it helped me learn how to communicate where I used to just fight. And you made a comment a little bit ago about sexual abuse. All that was going on in my house when I was a kid. And I don't share that a whole lot. But what I want to share is no matter what you've been through in your life, you can change. Change is possible for anybody. And you have to do the work in order to make the change.
And it's 100% true. And doing the work, the first step is showing up. Showing up to, if it's Toastmasters, then you show up to your meeting. You show up and be prepared. And this is reinforcing my own, like, okay, why did I get in Toastmasters? Oh yeah, that's right. And this isn't just a meeting you show up and throw it off. It's like, oh yeah, another meeting. No, this is the potential for what Toastmasters can be, not only for you, but for anyone in the world right now. Think about this, folks. Really get how profound. Ray is standing here. And I love it. He's blaming Toastmasters, but it's those people. So you felt at home because of people, not because of a meeting was called. It was because of those people who were there. So who were those people?
Gary, what was Gary's last name? We're talking, I don't know, 2011. And I've had so much happen, I just felt at home. People don't understand. They ask me all the time, Ray, how can you be so nice when you've been through so much hell? This is who I'm supposed to be. I wasn't supposed to be that other guy. And Toastmasters gave me the voice to express that.
What you're saying is really powerful. Is there any way for you to unpack this just a little bit more? Because I want to get this feeling that it's just amazing to know that you so when you're saying this, you felt at home because you were allowed to speak, you were allowed and you were heard and you were listened to. That's the other perfect balance of Toastmasters, is that you communicate and you're a better leader and you're a better communicator and a better speaker, but you're a better listener and therefore you're a better speaker. And this synergy happens. So describe to me in your first meeting, was it literally like an actual club meeting and Gary was running it like a club meeting and there were other folks there?
Yes, there was, I think 4 or 5 volunteers. Gary was running, Gary's not doing well physically now. I don't even know if he's alive, but he was running the prison clubs the way Alan Edgar does over in Oregon. But Gary had Eastern Oregon and Washington, I think a little bit of Idaho, the prison systems. And the volunteers that came in made you feel special, basically. They listened, they cared. The Toastmasters that came in were there to help us get better, and you felt that. I've been through a lot of programs in the joint. Pathfinders, AA meetings, anger management, mental health counseling. I've been through a lot of different programs, church services, all them volunteers coming in. I can't say I got a lot out of it. But I joined Toastmasters and it transformed my life and I got my freedom.
I don't even know how to acknowledge this. There's just so much to this, and I'm really wanting to. So at this point, because I just want this story, I just want this communicated, this piece right here, and then I'm going to ask you specifically on some other topics. You and I will shift to another Facebook room, but this is, if you could say one thing, not only to other prisoners, other people, other folks out there about Toastmasters and about what they can get from it, what would that be?
Glad you asked that question, because I answered that question quite a few times. Toastmasters transforms your life. If you get good at communication and good at leadership, you can go anywhere and be anything you want to be and be a success at it, just because you learned how to use your speaking skills. And that's the most important thing I can say about Toastmasters. I live and breathe Toastmasters. I promote it everywhere I go because of what it did for me. And if it can transform my life, it can transform your life, and everybody else out there in the world can have their lives transformed just by doing the work in Toastmasters.
It's powerful, and it's truly powerful. I want to ask you about, I know you have Toastmasters District 7 badges I see on there. I see a few of those. And can you share with us, so the first time, 2011, was the first Toastmasters meeting.
Yes.
It's now almost 11, 12 years now. And you are currently a club coach. You're in how many clubs are you in?
Just 2 at this time.
Just
Rose
2.
City Toasters and the Portland Club. That's
a lot. Okay. And what would you say then for someone wanting to find a club? What's the best way? I know, and you actually mentioned this before when we were talking before this. We're not in person. We are hybrid, or we are virtual. And a lot of the experience of Toastmasters and the richness that I remembered is the in-person, is being able to connect in person. So the last 3 years has been quite a challenge. And at the same time, we've all grown. I mean, there's no question I'm better at being able to speak and navigate this whole, the screen and all of this, and still could try to do our best to communicate and connect with our audience, even though it's not super fun. But what would you recommend then in terms of like, where can someone go if they would like to visit your club? How do they reach you? Share with us that information and just a little bit about those badges as well and why those are important.
I got this one for being the club coach of a prison club that I used to be president of. I don't think anybody's ever did that. And this is the 75 years of Toastmasters. And these are just American Red Cross. I do a lot of volunteer work at American Red Cross. I used to. I've slowed down a little bit because I've been doing a lot more traveling. I've been trying to talk to people to get my story out there. Not that it's important to know about me, but it's important to know that change is possible for everybody.
Absolutely beautiful. And I think that's a great place to wrap and say thank you so much for your time and for your generosity and your resilient spirit. And I look forward to connecting with you and working with you in the future. And I hope that folks will reach out to you and find out.
Available anytime. All you got to do is go to the Portland Toastmasters Club website, and the phone number that'll pop up is my phone number.
Thank you again, Ray.
Everybody I talk to, I give these to. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we are going to close this out. Thank you so much for those who've been watching. Go ahead and comment in the chat and leave a comment for Ray. We'd love to share this piece. And then I'm going to be interviewing Ray in our PR mastermind group so that the VPPR, Ray Fox, can actually share with us how he has skyrocketed his own club and is basically the top club in District 7, one of the top, and has some amazing skills. He thinks that they're simple, but I'm going to challenge all of us to actually implement them. All right, we will see you soon.